Assalamu alaikum, Quran Weekly. As the month of Ramadan is approaching, I was asked to share with you a few reminders having to do with du'as from the Quran, and this is the first of them, inshallah. One of my favorite du'as in the Quran happens to be the du'a that Musa alayhi salam made when he was in exile. So just a little bit of background before I share the du'a itself with you. Musa alayhi salam, a young man living in Egypt, accidentally gets involved in a situation where he kills someone unintentionally. And now the police are after him, and the orders are what you can call nowadays shoot to kill. In other words, he's not going to get arrested, he's going to be killed on sight. إِنَّ الْمَلَأَ يَأْتَمِرُونَ بِكَ لِيَقْتُلُوكَ. The chiefs are plotting against you to kill you. So the due process of law would be you catch a criminal, bring him to court, and then eventually either decide he's innocent or guilty and then decide the punishment. But the cops were out for him, they want to kill him. So the only option for him is to run away. And so he does. And Allah guides him to go out in the middle of the desert in the direction of Midian. He ends up at Midian and he sees a bunch of people that are giving their animals drink. At this point he himself is disheveled. He's exhausted almost to death from his journey, hasn't had things to eat or drink. So he's drinking water himself and he sees these bunch of people. Ummatan minan nasi yasqoon, the Quran says, a group of people that are giving their animals drink. وَوَجَدَ مِن دُونِهِمْ امْرَأَتَيْن تَذُودَانِ. And far away from them he saw two girls that were struggling with their animals. In other words, their animals also saw the water down there and wanted to go and feed their animals. Or the animals wanted to go drink the water themselves, but the girls kept holding them back and pulling them back. So he went up to them and asked them, what's wrong with you? What's the situation? They explained that they don't want to go down there. If all those men are there, they don't want to mix with them, or the men are perverts or whatever. So they're going to wait until the entire flock is done. لَا نَسْقِي حَتَّى يُسْتِرَ الرِّعَاء. We're not going to give our animals drink until the entire flock is done. وَأَبُونَا شَيْخٌ كَبِيرٌ. Our dad's an old man. Explaining that we're out in the workforce, us girls. We're forced to be because our dad doesn't have the health or the age to be able to do this work anymore, so we have to do it. Anyhow, that's the long story short version of the background of the story. Musa alayhi salam went, grabbed their animals, took them down to the river, or the lake actually, and then gave them the drink and brought them back. Now Allah says in this one ayah, فَسَقَى لَهُمَا. So He gave drink for both of them. He provided drink to the animals for their sake, for those two girls. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّى. Thereafter, thumma is used when something takes time. So fa would have been quickly, thumma is after a while. What that means is it took a while to feed those animals. And you can imagine Musa alayhi salam himself is exhausted, but he's taking the time out to do something long and enduring for these women in order to help them get drink for their animals. ثُمَّ تَوَلَّى إِلَى الظِّلِّ. Then he went back. Now the ayah translates, then he returned to the shade. But that's the part I wanted to highlight first. ثُمَّ, after a long time, meaning doing a lot of work for them, تَوَلَّى, he turned away, إِلَى الظِّلِّ. First thing to notice is Allah didn't say رَجَعَ إِلَى الظِّلِّ, he returned to the shade. Returned, literally says turned. So you have to make a distinction between returning and turning. Let me give you an example. You're driving on the highway and you say, I'm turning towards the house. I'm turning to the house. Now what that means is you're in the direction towards the house. But if you say, I returned to the house, that means you got there. You're already there. So the ayah says he returned to the shade, or rather he turned towards the shade. What does that mean? That means he hasn't even reached the shade yet, and the dua comes out of his mouth. This is very important to note, that as he turned to the shade, he then made the dua. Now what is this dua? رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ. Master, whatever good you descend upon me of any kind, I am completely bankrupt, I am in absolute need of it. There's a few things I want to talk to you about here in this powerful dua. The first of them is, why is he making this dua? The guilt of having murdered someone, killed someone, even if by mistake, is looming over Musa alayhi salam's head. And he knows he has to make up for what he's done. A lot of people make mistakes in life and they're like, how do I know if I'm forgiven? How do I know if I can make up for the mistake I've made? This ayah has actually part of the answer. And the answer is people who have a skeleton in their closet, they've done something bad in their past, they actually go out of their way to find an opportunity to do good things. And they're constantly desperate for it. And as a matter of fact, the opportunity to help people, they don't see that as something that they stumbled upon, they see it as something that Allah descended upon them, an opportunity descended upon them. رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٍ. Master, whatever good you sent down to me, good opportunity to do good work, that is one of the meanings of the dua. you're sending it down to me. So those two girls in need of help was something Allah sent down to Musa as an opportunity to do help. When you find somebody in life that needs your help, and you know you've made mistakes in your past, think of the opportunity to help them as something as a godsend. Allah sent it down to you as something you were desperately in need of. Musa alayhi salam is simply acknowledging that this was something I totally needed. I need to make up for the loss I've done. Students can easily relate to this. When you mess up on a test, what do? You have to do makeup assignments, right? You have to go out of your way to do extra credit assignments, make assignments, do more than other students to catch up. That's the attitude of Musa alayhi salam. He's done something bad, he wants to make it up. So he's going out of his way and seeing every opportunity as something Allah sent down to him. Now he is exhausted, as I mentioned. He's a fugitive from the law, homeless and far, far away from home. And he's looking towards the only place where he can find any relaxation. He doesn't have a home anymore, so the only thing he can turn towards even is al-dhil, the shade. All Allah gave him at this point, the only benefit to his name is the shade. Whether it's under a rock or a tree or whatever. And he can't even relax yet before he says, Ya Allah, if there's any other volunteer opportunities, I'm game, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to help more. SubhanAllah, that's the first sort of attitude that I wanted to instill into all of myself and into all of you, the urgency, the sense of urgency to want to do good even if one is exhausted themselves. Especially if they know there are things they need to run from. As far as on Judgment Day, we don't want to see certain evil deeds and we want to bury them far away from us. We bury those evil deeds by doing good deeds. And of course the rest is Allah's forgiveness and mercy. Okay, so that's the first important thing. The other is, these girls are standing with their animals and they're pulling the animals and all of that, the scene I laid out for you. Musa alayhi salam could have sat anywhere he wanted. If he was that tired, he could have just sat 2 feet by them. But Allah made sure to say, tawalla, he turned away, that he didn't stay in their company, he didn't stay close to them, because these are not mahrams to him. It's not appropriate for him to just be in the company of 2 young girls. So what does he do? He turns away from them and finds a place that is away from them, that faces in the opposite direction. This is part of the character and the modesty and the decency of Musa alayhi salam. And then he looks for shade, because there must have been shade all over the place. But he went where it would be farther away from these girls. And literally Allah mentions turning away. Why is that important also? Because when you help someone, there should be no strings attached. He doesn't wait around for them to say thanks. He doesn't wait around for them to say, hey, so, are you from around here? Nothing. No, he turned away, he walked away. If you're going to help someone, don't have strings attached. Just do it because you want to help someone. That's all. Now, this is the first part of the first meaning of the ayah. Whatever good you send my way, I could totally use it. I am bankrupt. Faqir actually comes from faqr, which is a broken back. My back is broken, I have no strength left. The last part of this first meaning that I want to share with you is sometimes when people have hard times, they blame Allah. Right? Why did I have to lose my job? Why did I become homeless? Why did I get sick? Allah, why did you do this to me? Look at the language that Musa alayhi salam uses. Obviously, he's being tested. He's homeless. He's a fugitive. A lot of things are wrong in his life. I mean, if you talk about a tough economy, I don't think you'll find yourself in a situation as bad as his, in the middle of a desert with nothing to your name. And at that point, when he makes dua of desperation, this is the dua of desperate people, in that sense. If you're in a desperate situation, this is the dua for you. He actually brings all of the attention to himself and none of the blame to Allah. Whatever good you send to me, inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. I am in need of whatever good you can descend upon me. Now we're transitioning into the second meaning of the ayah. The word khair may not just mean good deeds, it may also mean good things in life. Ya Allah, I don't have food, I don't have drink, I don't have clothes, I don't even have shoes, I don't have a home, I have nowhere to go. Send down something to me. So he understands also that provision comes from Allah, it comes from above. So he can only ask from above. And so he makes this desperate dua, walking towards the shade, and of course the girls now take their animals and they leave. They're not standing around. The only reason they were waiting there is because he was helping, or they were waiting for their animals to be fed. So they go back home. The father is surprised because the girls came home early. So he asks for an explanation. How'd you get home early? And they explain to him that there's this man who helped us. So he's surprised to hear about this man, and he says, you should call him. So one of the girls comes back, and now she's calling him. And this is still related to the dua, and I'll tell you why. Because the ayah says, فَجَاءَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ in Surah Al-Qasas. Now Allah says, therefore, one of those 2 girls came walking shyly. and came walking despite she was feeling shy. Despite the fact that she was feeling shy, she came up walking to Musa alayhi salam and said, Inna abi yad'uka liyajziyaka ajra ma saqayta lana. My dad is calling you, no doubt, because he wants to pay you for the animals you fed for us. Okay, so the girl's ready to pay, but the word is therefore, fa. Why is there a therefore there? He asked Allah, Ya Allah, give me something good. Therefore, Allah sent him a job opportunity. Now there's this thing, some people have the attitude when people are offering you help, it's beneath you or you're embarrassed to accept the help. Right? So if somebody says, hey, I have a job opening at my company, no brother, thank you, it's okay. I don't need it, it's okay, alhamdulillah. Like Allah will give me, this brother won't give me, I'm waiting for Allah to give me. Stupid. That is Allah giving you. That is how Allah gives. Musa alayhi salam asked Allah, but Allah sent a girl who was instructed by her father to say, hey, my dad wants to pay you. The other thing is, Musa alayhi salam, like it was already mentioned, didn't ask for money when he did it. He did it for, if anything, Allah's sake. He did it out of sincerity just to help somebody. It was a voluntary deed, not something he was supposed to be paid for. Now she comes back and says, I want to pay, my dad wants to pay you for this. He doesn't turn to her and say, no, actually that was voluntary, I don't want to get paid for that, no thank you, I'll be alright. The ayah says he got up and he said, and he didn't even tell her to lead the way. The narrations tell us he went ahead and told her to walk from behind and then give her directions. This is again part of his modesty. But the point is he got up and he was ready to get paid. Why? Because he saw this as an opportunity coming from Allah. He saw that as an opportunity. There are two kinds, there's a legitimate feeling and there's a not so legitimate feeling. I want you to be able to distinguish between them. The legitimate feeling is عِزُّ الرَّجُلِ اسْتِغْنَاؤُهُ عَنِ النَّاسِ. The decency of a person is, and the honor of a person is that he doesn't feel the need of other people. Right? So if you should feel kind of ashamed and embarrassed to have to ask other people for money, or ask them for their car, or ask them for help all the time and that sort of thing. If you're used to earning your own income and you lost your job and you don't have enough money or whatever, it's embarrassing to go ask a friend. It's not easy, it's humiliating, and that's part of the dignity Allah put inside us. That is legitimate. But when people offer you help and you need help, you didn't ask, people actually offered, then understand that that's something descending from Allah. And it could come in any form of good. Min khairin. It could be any form of good. Musa alayhi salam did not say, Allah, I want you to send me good, but I am used to certain kinds of foods being part of the royal family in Egypt. I have a certain taste bud. So if you're going to send me something, make sure it's along these lines of the menu. Or if you're going to give me a job, here it should be along these job descriptions, because I have a certain very specific work requirement. He didn't do that. He didn't have any what's called in Urdu nakhre. He didn't just send me anything good. Min khairin. The ayah says min khairin. Min litanawwu'. Min in Arabic means anything at all. Any good at all, Ya Rab, I'll take it. What does that mean? When you lose a job and you're looking for a job in your own industry and you can't find it for 6 months, and somebody else is offering you a job that you think is beneath you. You think, why am I going to do work in this field? I would rather starve than ever work in this field. Look, if it's a halal job, and it's a decent way of making money, it's not a crime, then there's nothing embarrassing about it. Security guards shouldn't be embarrassed about their job. Bus drivers and truck drivers shouldn't be embarrassed about their job. It's a halal income. It's a permissible income. Allah has honored those who earn money in a halal way, so you shouldn't be embarrassed about that if the situation calls for it and you have no other option left. There are people who have PhDs in the Muslim world, but the economy is so tough, they're selling bananas on the street. They're doing that, but they're earning whatever they're earning chub change compared to what they could be making. But you know what? It's better than nothing. And it's still respectable. People might look down upon it, the impression others give you, but let me tell you, Allah has honored Al-Kasibu Habibullah. The one who works hard and earns money in a legitimate way is beloved to Allah. That's what the Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's enough for us. So he says, min khairin. Now I wanted to highlight this last part, because when Allah answered his prayer, first of all, he was paid for something he did voluntarily, which typically one would be reluctant to take, but he said, this is coming from Allah, I'll take it. Second of all, he got an offer to marry one of the two girls. This was part of the good that he had asked for, he didn't expect. How are you going to expect a homeless guy is going to go in looking to get paid, and in a half-hour conversation he's going to get a marriage proposal? I mean, that comes from Allah. So he gets married. But then, let me transition fast forward to our times. One of the most embarrassing things you can do when the economy is tough is to work for your in-laws, or to live with your in-laws. That's like, how can I take money from my in-laws? It's the most embarrassing thing. For a man to have to work with his in-laws or work for them. Musa alayhi salam worked for his father-in-law 8 years. And then, the offer to complete 10, and some narrations say he did in fact complete 10. So he's working for someone who we in our time would think, oh, how embarrassing, how humiliating. Why is Allah telling us these things? Because we set standards of embarrassment, humiliation, cultural lines that only make life difficult for ourselves. And Allah didn't make those things difficult for us. Musa a.s. didn't set out to be a goat herder and someone who feeds animals or takes care of a farm. But you know what? Whatever good came his way, he was ready to take it. I'm not saying you aim low. I'm not saying you stop looking for a job in your field. You continue to look. But in the meantime, if desperate times come, well, they require desperate measures, take whatever Allah is putting your way. And then keep looking for better and better and better. It's not beneath you, and it's not beneath Musa a.s. to accept whatever opportunity comes his way. I pray that Allah helps us understand these beautiful du'as of the Prophets that have so many awesome life lessons in them. And may Allah Azza wa Jal help us understand that every opportunity, every work opportunity, every friend, every connection you make, every contact you make, all of these are rizq, provision that come from the sky, that come from Allah, that we are desperately in need for, or in need of, and may Allah make us grateful for them. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.